Hola, you amazing artists, and welcome to the media studio. Today I wanted to record a quick video for our friend Chris, Extempore Art, because he asked us a question about juggling a side hustle, a corporate side hustle, along with his art. So recently, Chris decided that he was going to do some dog walking in order to make some extra funds as he does his art. But what he found was that he's a little bit exhausted at the end of the day and can't really find the time to work on art. And I want to give Chris my thoughts on this. First off, congratulations, Chris, for starting a business in order to be your own boss and, be able to bring in some funds. As you know, Klee and I juggle a lot of things. Like, we're artists, we're musicians, we do these YouTube videos, we have podcasts, we also have a membership site that we run. And I can tell you right now that if you don't have your shit together, you are going to drive yourself crazy and you're going to be exhausted all the time. Chris specifically asked, what do you recommend? How do you recommend that I do this, that I'm able to pull this off where I'm juggling more than one thing? I can tell you right now that the first thing that you're going to have to do is set up some kind of schedule. Just to be clear, I am horrible with schedules. I don't like being told what to do. I don't care if it's me telling myself what to do. I don't want to be told what to do. I left the corporate world because I don't want anybody telling me how to run my life. That being said, if you don't have some kind of foundation and everything is up in the air, you're going to drive yourself crazy and you're really going to be pulled by your emotions. At the end of doing just about anything, it's easy to be exhausted and not feel like jumping into this other thing. Art is a slow burn. You don't see results right away. Like, you do have to dedicate some time to it in order to get things really going. And honestly, when you're in that place where you're not feeling it, that's probably the last thing you want to do. It's like, am I really going to dedicate time to, what's going to come from this? A lot of us tend to say, well, this is the priority because this is the thing that makes money. So this is what I'm going to pour all of my focus into. And this thing I love doing, but it's not really making me money. So it's going to get very little of my focus. Unfortunately, that's a reality for a lot of us. For example, we don't make a lot of money with the music that we distribute out into the world because we don't have millions upon millions of people listening to our music. And it's easy to kind of put that on a shelf and forget about it. And next thing you know, years have gone by and we haven't even looked at the music, which was one of the things that happened to us early on in our career. When it comes to creativeness and putting yourself out there and all that stuff, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. So anybody that has, whether it's a corporate side hustle or you're running your own side business, or maybe within your art business you have multiple businesses, it's easy to prioritize things based on how much income you're making from it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but it's important that you're aware of that. You could put something on a shelf and totally forget about it and then still feel that pull that's coming from inside of you that you're like, oh man, I really need to do this thing. And if you do that, it's easy to then turn the thing that is making you money into a job, into this thing that is keeping you from being able to express the way that you want to be. That's a mental game that happens because we can easily turn anything into a negative experience, and that includes our art career. That's been something that over the years, as we've been able to support ourselves with our art, we find that a lot of times you want to turn that thing that's making you some money into a negative thing. And that's something that you want to be careful of. You don't want to turn the thing that you love into something that you hate. That's why when you prioritize stuff, it's important to keep in mind your mental health. That's why self-care is important. That's why doing the creative things that you love is important. That's why just taking time off is important. Keep in mind what your priorities are and make sure that you're not letting money be the thing that dictates what's at the top of your list. The other thing that I make sure that I do is that like I said before with self-care, that there is breaks scheduled in there. I do need that break time. It can't be constant work, work, work. I'm going to do this dog walking thing now, and then I'm going to get into studio and I'm going to work, and then I'm going to create this stuff and I'm going to contact these people. You have to give yourself some time off, because if not, you are going to get burned out. If everything is at 110%, Trust me, that's not sustainable. You are way more productive if you give yourself time off than if you don't. The other thing that's really important is that you stay organized. You have to stay organized in some way, shape, or form. So in my books, I talk about the Fantastic Four list, and I have a planner. A lot of people use like a digital planner. I'm not there. I like tactile stuff because it's two of us, Klee and I, sit down and we have meetings on Mondays and throughout the week where we discuss like what is it that we're doing, what's our individual priorities that week. It's important that you give yourself the things that you do want to accomplish that week, but also don't go overboard. I have a thing called the Fantastic Four list where it's like every day I have 4 things that I'm going to do, and whatever I get accomplished, great. Whatever I don't get accomplished gets moved on to the next day. The other part, and I talked about this in the last video, is fa-chunking. Fa-chunking. Give yourself permission to not do it after your time limit is up and say, you know what, I'll try this again tomorrow. It's important that you do that. You want to listen to your body. You want to listen to yourself. You're talking yourself out of it. You're adding extra stress. And really all you need to do is just get the process started, and you get the process started and you're good to go. The more that you spend time talking yourself out of something, telling yourself that you're too exhausted, telling yourself that you don't have enough time, the less time and the more exhausted you're going to be. So the best thing to do is just get it started. Rip that Band-Aid off and just get it started, but also give yourself the permission to stop if you're not feeling it after whatever time you give yourself. The other part of this that's really important is that you set realistic goals. Don't overdo it. Don't give yourself too much to do. I am totally a victim to myself when it comes to this at times, where like I give myself this overwhelming task to get done in a day or in a week, something ridiculous like that. Make sure that you're not adding too much on your list. That's why the Fantastic Four list is the Fantastic Four. It's 4 things, that's it. 4 things for that day that I'm gonna focus on. Other than that, I'm not gonna go overboard and drive myself crazy. And most importantly, I'm not gonna allow myself to get to a place where every single day I just can't seem to accomplish anything because I've given myself too much to do. Don't do that to yourself. The other thing that I've talked about is make it easy to get started. Make sure that like when you get to a place that there's 1 or 2 steps where you could get started. Have an area that's set up, even if it's a table with an easel on it with your paints inside of a Tupperware container or something. Just something where it's easy for you to get the process started. If it's too many steps, if you got to pull this bin out of here and do this other thing and do this other thing before you even are able to put paint on canvas, trust me, it just becomes a big, overwhelming thing and you're really not going to want to do it. The other thing that I think is really important is that you stay inspired, right? Like as you're doing this thing and you're going to be dealing with a lot of issues that come up, right? So now you're doing the dog walking thing, doing it for extra money, and your art is kind of like sitting there and you're not able to get to it. What ends up happening is that you start to really get down on yourself, you start to get down on your art, and it's easier to not even focus on that. It's all about being able to keep yourself inspired and be like, you know what, it's okay. If I haven't worked on this, it's okay. It's okay, it's still there, I'm gonna work on it. And attached to that is the ability to manage stress, right? Stress is going to happen. You're gonna get stressed out about things. That's just life. Life is stress a lot of times. Life is beautiful, but life comes with a handful of stress that you're gonna have to deal with. For me, managing stress is understanding that a lot of the stuff that I am stressed out about, a lot of the stuff that I'm worrying about, right? If I'm worrying about something, if I'm being down on myself because I haven't done this thing, or something is missing, or whatever it is, what you're doing is you're sitting there worrying about something, which worry doesn't get you anywhere, and you're sitting there bringing yourself down, which that doesn't get you anywhere either. What you're gonna wanna do when you're managing stress is realize, like, you know what, this is okay. This is all okay. And I know that that's easier said than done, but it gets easier with practice. The best time to practice this, unfortunately, is when you are stressing out. It's pulling yourself out of that downward spiral and getting to a place where you're like, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to take a breather today. I'm going to figure this out. I am going to just think about something else. And attached to that, the final thing is it's okay. It's okay if you haven't worked on art. It's okay if you have been busy focusing on the dog walking business. It's okay. Don't add to it by putting yourself down or thinking that you're letting yourself down or anything. This is life. Life is unpredictable. We are figuring stuff out. The one thing that you know for sure, and the one thing that I know for sure, is that no matter how long I've been away from the canvas or the art project or whatever it is that I'm working on, that I will get back to it. Sometimes life happens. Sometimes you're figuring stuff out. Sometimes you've thrown an extra thing into this craziness, this chaos that is your life. And at this point, Chris, you're just trying to figure stuff out. That's it. You're figuring stuff out. You don't have to make any definite rules. You could give yourself a break, give yourself permission to be like, you know what? I need time to figure this out. Whatever it is that you need, it's your life. You get to decide, you get to choose what you're going to do. So if for right now you're like, you know what? I don't have time for art, and that's fine. I'll get to it when I get to it. Then you do that. If you're like, you know what? I want to form some new habits where I am putting more art into my life, then you do that. Basically, it's up to you, because everything that I said in this video is how I would approach it. But even still, it's a case-by-case basis. Depending on what's going on in my life, I may approach it completely differently. I may decide, you know what? I am not doing this for now. I'm going to wait and I'll get to it later. So Chris, I hope this video helped you out. I hope that it gave you some answers or some ideas or something, just some brainstorming here for what you could do to get back into it if that's what you want. Or also give yourself permission to be like, you know what, I'm just not doing this right now. That's okay too. And big thank you to the people that bought the calendar last week. I know that I made the announcement in my video last week. There's still calendars left. They are ordered and they are on their way here. So thank you to everyone that pre-ordered them. I am so excited to get them. I will be showing them off when they come in a video so you can see how awesome they are. I'm very excited about this calendar. I don't know if you could tell, but I still have some calendars available. So if any of you out there want to get my calendar, you know, buy my calendar. And a big thank you to the Rogue Artist community. You guys are amazing. It's because of you that we're able to record these videos and have the time and the finances to be able to do it. So thank you so much. And thank you to everyone watching. Thank you, Chris, for that question. You guys are absolutely amazing. I totally adore you. And if you like this and you've never watched us before and like it and want to subscribe, go ahead and click right over here to subscribe. And other than that, I've got things that I'm juggling and I'm gonna get to it. So I'll talk to you later. Adios.